I now invite the Honorable Chairman of the Commission to kindly address.
Thank you. Let me first tell you what the Commission's mandate is, and then I will go over the main highlights of the meeting this morning. So this will help you also to frame your questions in a more direct way and in a way that is relevant to the Finance Commission. Often our experience has been that there are a lot of issues related to the central government, but we are not representatives of the central government. We are a separate, independent, constitutionally mandated commission. So what the commission is required to do is the following. There is one set of taxes which are collected and kept by the state governments. They go directly to the state governments like SGST, state GST, taxes on liquor, alcohol, etc. Then some taxes on petroleum and all. They go directly to the states. There are some taxes which are which go directly to the union, to the central government. Generally, these are cesses and surcharges, and the taxes that accrue to the union territories. All the other taxes, such as the income tax, corporation profit tax, center's share in the GST, duties, etc., go into a separate. Divide the state's share among the 28 states, that is called the horizontal devolution. In addition, the Finance Commission also makes recommendations for certain grants. There are grants to the local bodies, both urban and rural. There are grants relative to disaster relief. And then there can be grants which are state-specific or sector-specific. All the grants, as opposed to the devolution, come from the central government's budget. Okay, so in the end, states get not only what comes out of the divisible pool, their share, but they also get the funds that are being given out of the central government's budget in the form of the grants. Okay, so that is what the commission is supposed to do. Everything else that is related to the central government is not something that the commission's jurisdiction is. This morning we had a very long meeting, started at 9:30, and we just finished with the Chief Minister of Goa and his cabinet, as well as some of the senior officials. Chief Minister spoke, and after that we had a very long and quite impressive presentation by the Chief Secretary, and that presentation went into some maybe 140 slides, so it was quite comprehensive. It gave the introduction to Goa, its demography, its economy, its finances. The core of the presentation, however, focused on what Goa would like the division of the funds to be. So on the vertical division, vertical devolution, State of Goa made the presentation that the share of the states be raised from the current 41% to 50%. Now this is a common recommendation that has been coming from the states. Goa is the 15th state that we are visiting. We have visited 14 other states. So So 14 out of 15 states have said raise it to 50%. And the 15th one has said raise it to 45%. So that's on the vertical devolution. On horizontal devolution, Goa suggested something different. And what I would do is I will tell you how exactly the 15th Finance Commission had advised, or how the 15th Finance Commission's devolution, horizontal devolution was worked out, what the criteria were, and how the government of Goa has advised the commission, 16th commission, to do it differently. So the horizontal devolution is generally made on the basis of certain objective criteria. For example, population is one of these common criteria that is being used practically by every one of the past 15 commissions. So what you say is that 15th Finance Commission recommended, its recommendation was that 15% of the divisible pool should be divided among the states based on population. So the larger states with larger population will get more, states with smaller population will get less. Exactly in proportion to the 15% of the divisible pool was then divided according to the share of each state in the population. Okay. Similarly, area, forest and ecology, income distance, tax and fiscal effort, demographic performance, these were the criteria that the 15th Finance Commission used. And then the Goa government has suggested some other criteria as well. So I'll very quickly tell you what was the recommendation of the 15th and how the Goa government would like the 16th to change those criteria. So on population, they agreed that 15% rate as assigned to by the 15th Finance Commission should be retained by the 16th. Area, again, larger states, states which have a larger area were given more on that. So 15% was divided, first 15% of the divisible pool was divided based on the share in the total area. There was 15th Commission, and for the 16th, Goa government says keep that at 15% as well. Now, Goa, by the way, has a very small area, only 0.16%, I think, is of the national area. So what the past commissions have done is for the smaller states, so there are 12 of those states whose area is less than 2%, was set at 2%. And then correspondingly, the shares were reduced of the remaining states. So on area, that is where it stands. Forest and ecology, that was 10% in the 15th, and Goa also says 10%. Income distance, now the way income distance works is the following. The objective of the income distance criterion is to promote equity. Because the poorer states are less able to raise their own revenues, and constitutionally there's been general agreement in India that every citizens in every state should have access to relatively similar levels of services provided by these governments, and so poorer states which are less able to raise their own revenues are given some extra hand. So income distance basically says that the poorer the state, the larger the devolution based on that criteria. Now on income distance criterion, 15th Finance Commission had divided 45% of the divisible pool. It's quite substantial. Goa, which is a richer state, and so that goes against Goa, so that Goa has said reduce that to 30%. Goa has also introduced a new criterion suggested, which is called the Sustainable Development Goals. And on Sustainable Development Goals, which the 15th and no past commission has used, 12.5% of the divisible pool, according to Goa, should go based on the achievements on the Sustainable Development Goals. There was tax and fiscal effort, which had a weight of 2.5%, 2.5%, Goa says raise that to 5%. And finally, demographic performance, again, no change. 12.5% was the 15th, and Goa's recommendation is also to keep that at 12.5%. So, net, what Goa is suggesting is reduce the income distance weight from 45 to 30%. So, that is a 15 percentage change, which of which Goa has given 12.5% to SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, and another remaining 2.5% to tax and fiscal effort. That is the main difference that the government of Goa has suggested. According to the calculations that the state government has provided, this will raise Goa's share from 0.386% of the overall divisible pool under the 15th commission to 1.76% of the divisible pool under the 16th finance commission. That's practically more than four-fold increase in the share of Goa. Finally, I just mentioned there was a lot of discussion on local bodies as well as the disaster relief issues also. But and last thing that they discussed was a number of projects on the basis of which the state government has asked for a state-specific grant, and that total sum of those projects, the proposed expenditures on those projects, there are about 13 different projects in different areas: tourism, education, health, information technology, climate change, waste management, etc. Total 32,706.45 crore rupees. That is the ask of the Goa government for a separate state-specific grant. So that is the summary of what the proceedings were. We'll take 3 or 4 questions.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman. As has been briefed, kindly keep your questions to the specific ask of the Honorable Commission and related to the Commission's work. Any other questions will force us to disallow the questions. You may kindly raise your hand if you want to raise it. Yes, Rupesh.
Yes, sir, I'm Rupesh from PTS.
Please stand.
I'm Rupesh from Press Trust of India. As far as population is concerned, our floating population is 6 or 7 times more than the actual local population. So was this also a criteria considered while accepting demands of the state government? Also, they require more infrastructure because we are a tourism state.
So the Goa government did raise the issue of floating population quite forcefully, and there was a significant discussion. Actually, more than one cabinet members of the cabinet raised that issue. Both floating population as well as non-Goans coming to settle into Goa as well, which obviously has implications for systems of sewage and water availability, etc. So yes, these were brought up by the state government.
Yes.
So myself, Rupesh Rath from Prudent Media. I would like to ask one question. That just now you said that Goa government asked Prudent Media. It's a news channel.
Okay.
Just now you told that 30,000 has been asked by the government for the project. But we have seen that many states are asking money for a project, but they are using it for social welfare scheme for freebies. So how Commission looking at this?
No, you should understand this, that if the money is given for a project, then that money has to be used for the project. That cannot be used for freebies. So freebies comes from the general budget, to which of course funds can come from the state's own tax revenues, but they can also come out of the devolution that the Finance Commission makes. So that is how it is done. It is in the end, in a democratic society, the elected government makes those decisions. Those decisions are not made by the Finance Commission. Finance Commission can raise that issue in the interest of the overall macroeconomic stability that in the end, if these unproductive expenditures multiply, what impact that might have on the general efficiency of the use of the funds as well as on the overall macroeconomic stability. So the Commission can say something at a more general level, but it cannot control the. Obviously, it should not control the how the state governments choose to spend their money. In the end, you all, as citizens, have to take that particular stand when you vote a government in. Right? If the citizens vote the governments based on getting freebies, then they are asking for freebies. This is what the citizens want. So ultimately, it will have to be the citizens who have to decide whether they want better amenities, better roads, better sewage, better water, access to water, or they want these cash transfers that freebies are dispensing.
So, Mr. Surya, from the Navin Times. So, considering the environmental issues of war, whether state government has put forth any demands related to for protecting this environmental issues?
So there was some discussion, and in particular, I think tourism minister perhaps raised the issue of the coastal line. You know that there is a lot of erosion of the coastline, and the government of Goa. So this was again in the context of asking for funds or taking into consideration that particular issue that Goa has 104 kilometers long coastline, and due to climate change factors, there has been some ongoing erosion of the coastline, and preservation of that requires funds.
We will take last two questions now.
So I'm Kansas from Goa Report. What are the key factors that the Finance Commission looks whenever government puts up a proposals in particular? What are the viewpoints in particular?
So what the commissions in the past have considered, you can read in their reports. As far as we are concerned, 16, we are still at the midpoint of our deliberations. So right now we are mostly doing the consultation, receiving advice, and of that very important, perhaps the most important component has been the visits to the states. So we've listened to the 15 states. We have to listen to 30 more, after which we'll come to some decision on how we want to proceed.
Ashley Rosario, I represent a newspaper called The Goa. Mr. Chairman, sir, after you submit the reports and it is accepted, does the Commission have a role in compliance?
No.
And where does it?
So the compliance, in effect, compliance has not been an issue as far as the devolution and the grants to the local bodies and grants on disaster relief are concerned. Let me explain to you. So once so the commission makes the recommendations, right, and then the central government decides what it accepts or what does it accept. Then there is the CAG, who does the verification that the shares of the states were awarded by the central government in the manner in which the commission had recommended. So you will see what happens is, sometimes there is a confusion that gets created for the following reason. That in any given year, initially, you estimate what the tax revenues will be. Based on that, whatever share was recommended is awarded. Later on, it turns out at the end of the year that the tax revenue collection was different. It could have been more or it could have been less. So then the second year, a compensation is done for what was not covered, left uncovered in the first year. So this is how it is done. And that's done on a continuous basis, and CAG then has to certify that, as recommended by the Finance Commission, implementation has happened.
Thank you very much. As we come to an end of this session, I would like to invite the media for a lunch in the adjourning restaurant, but kindly be seated. Please allow the Commission to